Ladies and gentlemen, imagine stepping into a battlefield where the enemy knows your every weakness, every insecurity, every fear. An opponent so powerful that it can stop you before you even take the first step. But here's the shocking truth. That enemy is your own mind. Think about it. How many times have you talked yourself out of something before even trying? How often do you let doubt, fear, or overthinking hold you back from opportunities, relationships, or success? The harsh reality is this: most people don't fail because of the world around them. They fail because of the war inside them. And if you don't learn how to fight back, you will lose before you even begin. But here's the good news: your mind may be your greatest enemy today, but it can also become your most powerful ally. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to make that shift, because the moment you master this battle, there is nothing that can stop you. The greatest obstacles we face in life are rarely external. We often blame circumstances, people, or bad luck for our failures, but the truth is the real battle is happening inside our own heads. Our mind is constantly shaping our reality, influencing our decisions, and either pushing us forward or holding us back. It can be our greatest weapon or our most dangerous enemy, and for most people it works against them more than it works for them. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated to take action, not because of actual danger or real-world consequences, but because of the fear and doubt created in your own mind? How often do you find yourself trapped in overthinking, second-guessing every decision, replaying past mistakes, or imagining worst-case scenarios that haven't even happened yet? This is the silent war that most people never learn to fight. It's not about external challenges, but the internal voices that convince you that you're not capable, that you're not worthy, that you don't have what it takes. The mind is a master manipulator. It knows exactly how to exploit your fears, magnify your insecurities, and keep you stuck in patterns of hesitation and self-sabotage. It will whisper to you that you're not ready, that you don't have enough experience, that you'll fail if you try. And if you listen to it, if you believe everything it tells you, you'll stay exactly where you are, safe, comfortable, and unfulfilled. Because that's what the mind craves: safety. It is wired for survival, not for success. Its default setting is to keep you from risk, even when that risk is necessary for growth. But the mind is also a paradox. It is the source of fear, but also the source of courage. It is the birthplace of doubt, but also of confidence. It builds the walls that keep you trapped, but it also holds the key to breaking free. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent, intelligence, or luck. It's the ability to win the battle within. It's the discipline to challenge the lies your mind tells you, to rewire your thinking, and to take action even when fear is screaming at you to stop. Most people don't realize that their thoughts are not facts. Just because your mind tells you something doesn't mean it's true. That voice telling you that you're not good enough, it's just a program, a set of beliefs formed by past experiences, societal expectations, and self-imposed limitations. And like any program, it can be rewritten. The first step is awareness, recognizing that the thoughts in your head are not reality, but just stories you've been telling yourself for years. The second step is challenge, questioning those thoughts, asking yourself whether they are actually true or just assumptions based on fear. The third step is action, taking steps forward even when your mind tries to convince you otherwise. Because the fastest way to prove your mind wrong is to do the very thing it says you can't do. This is why the most successful people in the world don't operate from a place of comfort. They operate from a place of mastery over their own thoughts. They don't wait until they feel ready. They don't let fear dictate their choices. They understand that discomfort is the price of growth, and that self-doubt is just a test to see how badly they want something. They have trained themselves to push forward despite the resistance of their own minds. There's a reason why so many people feel stuck in life. It's not because they lack opportunities. It's not because the world is against them. It's because their own mind is acting as a barrier between where they are and where they want to be. And until they learn to recognize this, until they develop the skill of mastering their thoughts, they will remain prisoners of their own fears and doubts. The good news is this prison isn't locked. The door has always been open. But the only way to walk through it is to stop believing the lies that your mind tells you and start rewriting the narrative for yourself. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in the human mind. It has the ability to control, manipulate, and limit us in ways we don't even realize. Fear convinces us to play small, to avoid risks, and to stay within the boundaries of what feels safe. The mind feeds us fear as a defense mechanism, an instinctive way to protect us from danger. But the problem is that the mind doesn't know the difference between real threats and imagined ones. It treats stepping out of your comfort zone the same way it would treat a life or death situation. Think about how often fear has dictated your choices. How many times have you wanted to try something new, speak up, take a chance, or chase a dream, but fear convinced you otherwise? It told you that you weren't ready, that you might fail, that people would judge you. And instead of moving forward, you hesitated. You stayed where you were, convincing yourself that maybe it just wasn't the right time. This is the cycle that traps most people, not external barriers, but the internal war between fear and growth. Fear is not the problem. Fear will always be there. The problem is how we respond to it. Most people think that courage means being fearless, but that's not true. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action in spite of it. The difference between people who grow and those who remain stuck isn't that one group has less fear, it's that one group refuses to let fear make their decisions for them. The mind will always choose comfort, because comfort feels safe. But comfort is also the place where dreams die, where potential is wasted, and where life becomes predictable and unfulfilling. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It demands that you step into uncertainty, that you challenge yourself, that you take risks. Growth is terrifying because it requires you to let go of who you were in order to become who you are meant to be. And that is exactly why the mind resists it. The mind clings to the familiar even when the familiar is holding you back. It would rather keep you in a situation that is unsatisfying but known than push you into the unknown, even if that unknown holds the possibility of something greater. The real challenge is learning to see fear for what it really is, not a stop sign, but a signal. Fear is an indication that you are standing on the edge of growth. It is proof that you are moving in the right direction. When fear appears, most people back away thinking it means they are not ready. But the truth is, fear is a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. If you are never afraid, it means you are not pushing yourself. It means you are staying in a place where everything is predictable, where there is no challenge, where there is no progress. The key to overcoming fear is action. Fear thrives in hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. The more you analyze, the more excuses your mind will create. Fear gains power when you feed it with overthinking, with self-doubt, with procrastination. But the moment you take action, even a small step, fear begins to lose its grip. It is not the fear itself that holds you back. It is the inaction that allows fear to grow. Training your mind to embrace growth over fear is not something that happens overnight. It is a process, a daily commitment to choosing discomfort over stagnation. It is reminding yourself every time fear whispers in your ear that fear is just a story, not reality. It is understanding that every successful person you admire has felt the same fear you feel, but they move forward anyway. Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort, but real fulfillment, real achievement, and real success exist on the other side of that discomfort. The mind can either be a prison or a gateway. It can convince you to stay where you are, or it can push you toward where you want to be. And the only thing separating those two outcomes is the decision to stop letting fear be in control. The way you talk to yourself determines everything. The words you use in your own mind shape your confidence, your decisions, and ultimately, your entire life. Most people do not realize that they are engaged in a constant dialogue with themselves every single day. And the unfortunate reality is that for most people, that conversation is negative, filled with doubt, self-criticism, and limiting beliefs. The mind left unchecked will naturally default to negativity. It will remind you of your failures, exaggerate your weaknesses, and convince you that you are not enough. It will compare you to others, highlight your shortcomings, and reinforce the idea that you are incapable of achieving more than what you already have. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, how many of them would still be around? Think about that. If someone were to say to you the things you say to yourself in moments of doubt, would you tolerate it? Would you allow them to call you a failure? To tell you that you are not good enough? To remind you of every mistake you have ever made? Of course not. But when it comes from within, we accept it, we believe it, we let it shape our reality. And that is the most dangerous part of all, not that these thoughts exist, but that we listen to them. Most people think that confidence is something you are born with, but confidence is not genetic. Confidence is the result of the way you speak to yourself. The result of the beliefs you reinforce every single day. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not smart enough, not talented enough, not capable enough, then that belief will become your truth. Not because it is real, but because you have conditioned your mind to accept it as real. On the other hand, if you tell yourself that you are capable, that you are resourceful, that you are resilient, then those beliefs will become your reality. The mind does not distinguish between truth and perception. It simply believes whatever you tell it the most. This is why self-talk is one of the most important factors in success. It is not about arrogance. It is not about pretending to be something you are not. It is about choosing to speak to yourself in a way that empowers you rather than limits you. The way you talk to yourself should be the same way you would talk to a close friend, encouraging, supportive, and understanding. If a friend made a mistake, you would not tell them they are a failure. You would remind them that mistakes happen, that they can learn from it, that they have the better next time. But when we make mistakes, we often do the opposite. We reinforce the idea that we are incapable, that we always mess things up, that we are not good enough. And the more we say it, the more we believe it. The challenge is learning to rewire this internal dialogue. Instead of letting your mind control you, you must take control of your mind. You must catch yourself in moments of self-doubt and deliberately change the narrative. When your mind tells you that you are not good enough, question it. Where's the evidence? When it tells you that you will fail, challenge it. How do you know? The mind creates stories, but you have the power to rewrite them. And the best way to rewrite them is through action. Every time you take action, even when you are afraid, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Every time you push through discomfort, you reinforce the belief that you are stronger than your mind wants you to believe. This is why the most successful people in the world have mastered their self-talk. They are not immune to doubt. They are not free from fear. But they refuse to let those dictate their actions. They remind themselves daily that they are capable, that they are strong, that they can figure things out. And because they reinforce those beliefs consistently, those beliefs become their reality. Training your mind is like training a muscle. If you have spent years speaking to yourself negatively, you cannot expect to change overnight. It takes repetition. It takes consistency. It takes choosing every single day to speak to yourself with the same kindness and encouragement that you would offer to someone you care about. Because at the end of the day, the person you spend the most time with is yourself. And if you do not learn to be your own biggest supporter, your own mind will become your biggest enemy. The mind is addicted to comfort. It seeks patterns, routines, and familiarity because these things feel safe. Comfort provides a sense of control, a predictable environment where there are no surprises, no threats, and no risks. But the very thing that makes comfort feel good is the same thing that makes it dangerous. The problem is that comfort does not lead to growth. It does not lead to success. It does not lead to fulfillment. Comfort is where dreams go to die, where ambition fades, and where potential is left untapped. Most people spend their lives trapped in the illusion of security, believing that if they stay where they are, they will be safe. But in reality, there is no such thing as staying still. You are either growing or you are declining. There is no middle ground. Every day to choose comfort over challenge, you are not staying the same, you are falling behind. You are reinforcing the habit of avoiding difficulty, of playing small, of settling for less than what you are capable of. And the longer you stay comfortable, the harder it becomes to leave. The mind becomes conditioned to seek the easiest path, to avoid discomfort at all costs, to justify staying in a place that no longer serves you. Growth requires discomfort. It demands that you step into uncertainty, that you embrace the unknown, that you do things before you feel ready. And this is precisely why so many people never reach their full potential. They wait. They wait until they feel prepared, until they have all the answers, until the fear disappears. But the truth is that moment never comes. The mind will always find reasons to delay, always find excuses to stay comfortable, always convince you that now is not the right time. But waiting does not make you stronger. It does not make you more capable. It only makes you more afraid. The only way to break free from the trap of comfort is to rewire your relationship with discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to be avoided, you must learn to see it as proof that you are moving in the right direction. Discomfort is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are growing. Every time you push yourself beyond your limits, you expand what is possible. You redefine what you are capable of. You build resilience, confidence, and strength. But none of that happens if you stay where it feels safe. Think about any meaningful achievement in your life. It did not come from comfort. It came from struggle, from effort, from pushing past what you thought you could handle. Every skill you have, every lesson you have learned, every success you have experienced, it all came from stepping into discomfort. Yet despite knowing this, the mind will still try to pull you back, to convince you that you should avoid struggle, that you should seek the easiest path. The mind is not designed for growth. It is designed for survival. And growth, by definition, requires risk. It requires failure. It requires stepping into situations where there are no guarantees. This is why the most successful people in the world are not the most talented or the most intelligent. They are the ones who are willing to do the uncomfortable things that most people avoid. They are willing to take risks, to face rejection, to make mistakes, to fail and try again. They do not let discomfort dictate their actions. They embrace it. They seek it out, because they understand that discomfort is the price of progress. The mind will resist change, not because change is bad, but because it is unknown. It will create fear, doubt, and hesitation as a way to keep you where you are. But if you allow those feelings to control you, you will spend your life settling for less than what you are capable of. The challenge is not to eliminate fear, but to act in spite of it. To move forward, even when the mind is telling you to turn back. To remind yourself that discomfort is not something to run from, but something to lean into. The people who achieve the most in life are not the ones who avoid discomfort, but the ones who become comfortable being uncomfortable. They train their minds to see challenges as opportunities, to see failure as feedback, to see fear as a signal that they are on the right path. They do not wait until they feel ready. They take action first, and the confidence follows. They understand that growth is not supposed to be easy, that struggle is not a sign to stop, but a sign to keep going. Because they know that everything they want, everything they are capable of becoming, lies on the other side of that discomfort. Fear is the most powerful weapon your mind has against you. It is the invisible force that controls your decisions, limits your actions, and keeps you trapped in a life that is smaller than what you are capable of living. Fear convinces you that you are not ready, that you are not good enough, that failure is too painful to endure. It whispers in your ear, reminding you of past mistakes, reinforcing doubts, and exaggerating the risks of stepping outside your comfort zone. The mind left unchecked will always default to fear. It is wired for survival, designed to protect you from perceived danger, even when that danger is nothing more than uncertainty and the unknown. But the greatest lie fear tells you is that it is keeping you safe. In reality, fear is not protecting you, it is imprisoning you. It convinces you to settle, to stay in situations that no longer serve you, to avoid risks that could lead to growth and opportunity. It keeps you on the sidelines, watching others take action, watching others succeed, while you remain stuck in hesitation and self-doubt. And the more you listen to fear, the stronger it becomes. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, every time you allow fear to dictate your actions, you reinforce the belief that you are not capable. You train your mind to expect failure before you have even tried. You condition yourself to see obstacles as reasons to quit rather than as opportunities to grow. The truth is, fear never goes away. It does not disappear with success, and it does not fade with time. The people who achieve the most in life are not fearless, they are simply willing to act in spite of their fear. They have learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward regardless of it. They understand that fear is nothing more than a story the mind creates, a collection of worst-case scenarios that rarely ever happen. They refuse to let those stories control them. Instead of letting fear hold them back, they use it as fuel. They recognize that fear is often a sign that they are on the right path. That if something scares them, it is probably worth doing. That if they feel resistance, it means they are stepping into something meaningful. Most people wait for fear to disappear before taking action. They believe that one day they will wake up feeling confident, ready, and free from doubt. But that day never comes. Fear does not leave before action, it leaves because of action. The only way to weaken fear is to prove it wrong. To do the very thing your mind is telling you that you cannot do. To take the first step, even when you are afraid. And every time you do, you create evidence that fear is a liar. That it does not control you. That it does not define you. And slowly, fear loses its power. Fear thrives on inaction. The longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. The more you hesitate, the more your mind will fill in the blanks with reasons why you should not move forward. This is why the most important thing you can do when you feel fear is to take immediate action. To interrupt the cycle before it has a chance to take hold. To refuse to give fear time to grow. Because the moment you take action, even a small one, you break fear's grip. You shift from doubt to momentum. You prove to yourself that you are capable. And that proof, that belief in yourself, is what weakens fear over time. People often look at those who succeed and assume that they are different, that they were born with some special trait that allows them to push past fear effortlessly. But the truth is, they are no different from anyone else. They feel the same fear, the same doubt, the same hesitation. The only difference is that they have conditioned themselves to move forward anyway. They have trained their minds to see fear as a challenge rather than a threat. They understand that fear is not the enemy and action is. Fear will always be there. It will always try to pull you back, to keep you from stepping into your potential, to convince you that you are not ready. But the real question is not whether fear will show up. The real question is whether you will listen, whether you will allow it to control your life, or whether you will choose to act in spite of it, whether you will let it dictate your future, or whether you will take control, whether you will spend your life avoiding fear, or whether you will use it as the fuel that drives you forward. The mind is a master storyteller, constantly weaving narratives about who you are, what you are capable of, and what is possible for your life. These stories shape your identity, influence your decisions, and determine the level of success you will achieve. But what most people fail to realize is that these stories are not objective truths. They are simply beliefs that have been shaped by past experiences, by societal expectations, by the words of others, and most importantly, by the way you talk to yourself. And if you are not careful, these beliefs can become the greatest barrier standing between you and the life you want to live. The mind has a tendency to repeat the same thoughts over and over again until they become ingrained as reality. If you tell yourself that you are not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, that belief starts to dictate your actions. It affects the way you carry yourself, the way you approach challenges, the way you respond to opportunities. And over time, it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. You do not try because you believe you will fail. And because you do not try, you never succeed. This cycle continues, reinforcing the false narrative that you are incapable, that you are unworthy, that success is for other people but not for you. The most dangerous thing about these self-imposed limitations is that they are rarely questioned. Most people accept their internal dialogue as fact, never realizing that the voice in their head is not always telling the truth. But if you take a step back and examine your thoughts, you will often find that the only thing holding you back is the belief that you cannot move forward. It is not external obstacles, not lack of resources, not lack of opportunity, just a mental barrier that you have created and reinforced over time. The good news is that just as the mind can create limitations, it can also break them. The way you speak to yourself, the stories you tell yourself can be rewritten. But this does not happen by accident. It requires conscious effort, daily practice, and a commitment to shifting your mindset. It starts with awareness, becoming mindful of the thoughts that run through your mind on a daily basis. Paying attention to the way you talk to yourself when you face a challenge, when you make a mistake, when you step outside your comfort zone. Are you encouraging yourself or tearing yourself down? Are you looking for possibilities or focusing on obstacles? Once you become aware of these thought patterns, the next step is to challenge them. Just because you have believed something for a long time does not mean it's true. If a thought is holding you back, ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Is there actual evidence to support it? Or is it just an assumption? A fear? A doubt that I have never questioned? More often than not, you will find that these limitations have no real foundation. They are just outdated narratives that no longer serve you. But awareness and questioning are not enough. To truly change the way your mind works, you must replace negative thought patterns with new, empowering beliefs. This means consciously choosing to speak to yourself in a way that aligns with the person you want to become. It means replacing I can't with I am capable. It means replacing I'm not ready with I will figure it out. It means treating yourself with the same kindness and encouragement that you would offer to a friend. And at first, this will feel unnatural. The mind resists change. It will try to pull you back into old habits, into familiar patterns of self-doubt. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The more you reinforce positive beliefs, the stronger they become. And eventually, those new beliefs will shape your actions, your decisions, your identity. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending that challenges do not exist. It is about recognizing that the way you interpret those challenges determines how you respond to them. Two people can face the same obstacle, but the one who believes they can overcome it will always have a higher chance of success than the one who believes they are doomed to fail. Your mindset is not just an abstract concept, it is the foundation upon which everything else is built. The people who achieve the greatest success in life are not the ones who never face setbacks or doubts. They are the ones who have mastered the ability to control their internal dialogue. They do not allow temporary failures to define them. They do not allow fear to dictate their actions. They do not let past mistakes shape their future. Instead, they train their minds to focus on solutions rather than problems, on progress rather than perfection, on possibilities rather than limitations. They understand that their thoughts are not just passive reflections of reality, but active forces that shape their destiny. Your mind is always listening to you. It believes what you tell it. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not enough, your actions will reflect that belief. But if you start telling yourself a new story, one of resilience, of capability, of growth, your actions will begin to align with that belief as well. The process is simple, but it is not easy. It requires discipline, repetition, and the willingness to challenge deeply ingrained patterns. But if you commit to it, if you make the choice every single day to speak to yourself with confidence and belief, your entire life will begin to change.